This short video has been made to demonstrate the ideal sitting position for your child in their wheelchair, to optimise posture and function and help you decide when is the right time to refer back to the wheelchair service for reassessment due to growth. This video is for anyone who has a child or works with a child who uses a wheelchair either part-time or full-time. We are going to start with showing what ideal sitting looks like. You can see the child's pelvis is in neutral. The points to look out for are the lower back. Note how there is a slight curve in the lower back and a nice straight spine, with the head balanced at the top over the shoulders. We will look at this posture in the wheelchair later on in the video. Now see the difference in the child's spine shape and head position when she sits with her bottom slid forwards on the seat. Her pelvis is now tilted backwards, and you can see how the natural curve to the lower back has disappeared. We now have a long curved shaped spine. Also look at where her head is. It is forwards of the shoulders, giving an extra curve at the top of her spine. This position means more effort is required for her to lift her head up. Swallowing can be more difficult, as is engaging with activity. This posture also increases the risk of the muscles in her legs and lower back becoming shorter, leading to stiffness and discomfort. Let's now look at the same positions in the wheelchair and how you can check whether your child is sitting right back in the chair. Again, look at the child's head position. Her head is nicely balanced over her shoulders. Less effort is required to hold her head up. A good first indicator of whether your child is back in the seat is the gap between the back of the knees and the front of the cushion. Ideally, this should be no more than 2 to 3 fingers. The next check is to lean your child forwards and see whether there is a gap between the back of their bottom and the back of the cushion or back canvas. Once you are happy with the position, fasten the seatbelt, ensuring that the belt is secure. From the front, look at how she is sitting. Is she sitting in the middle of the chair? Ideally, you want to see the nose in line with the middle of her chest and follow that imaginary line all the way down to the middle of the seat. You can check she is sat evenly on her bottom by checking her pelvis is level. Check the position of the knees. If your child is sitting in the wheelchair symmetrically, the knees will usually be level. To help maintain this sitting position, your child's foot position has a vital part to play. Ideally, your child should sit with their feet supported by the foot plates with knees bent. Straightening the knees or hanging the feet over the front of the foot plates can cause the child's bottom to slip forwards. These checkpoints should have been discussed with you at the wheelchair assessment or handover appointment, with any differences highlighted. When checking the pelvis, feel for the large bones at the front of the pelvis. They should be level and even. So you can identify the difference between poor sitting and growth, let's now look at the child's sitting position if her bottom has slid forwards and is not right back in the wheelchair. Look at the big difference in where her head is in relation to her shoulders. You can see there is now a much larger gap between her knees and the seat cushion. Leaning her forwards, you can now see the gap between her bottom and the back of the wheelchair. She is still sitting in the middle of the wheelchair, but see how she appears more scrunched up around her tummy. This can affect digestion and cause discomfort. How do we now get the child repositioned and right back in her wheelchair? Your child may be able to do this themselves or with some assistance. For her to be able to push her bottom right to the back of the seat, she needs to lean forwards and push back with her feet. Or gradually wriggle her bottom back in the seat. You may need to help her do this. Your occupational therapist or physiotherapist may be able to help with new techniques. Your child will not manage to get their bottom right to the back of the seat by extending as they push back. You can see how her bottom ends up in the same place it started when she tries to push herself back in this way. In order to effectively get her bottom back in the wheelchair, she has to lean forward and stay forward as she moves. If your child is hoisted, the sling position can help you with positioning your child in the wheelchair. The general rule is to use the shortest sling loops at the top and the longest loops at the legs. Your sling provider will be able to advise on this. As you lower your child into the wheelchair, try to guide them in by pushing gently on the hips. This way you can ensure they go into the seat straight. The wheelchair may tip back slightly when you do this. The anti-tip bars will prevent it from tipping back too far. Once your child is correctly positioned in the wheelchair, you need to do up the seatbelt. Make sure this is in direct contact with your child and is not over the armrest side panel. It should be fitted tightly so you can get no more than a finger in between your child and the belt. The seat belt is not just there to keep them safe, but is there to help them sit in the wheelchair in the ideal sitting position by supporting their pelvis from the front. And finally, how do you know when to refer your child back to the wheelchair service for a bigger wheelchair? If you cannot get a hand's width between your child's thighs and the side of the wheelchair, or if you lean your child forwards and there is no gap between their bottom and the backrest, and there is more than a 4-finger gap between the back of their knee and the front of the cushion. The foot plates may need to be lowered if the thighs are not level and there is a gap under the leg so that it is not resting fully on the cushion. If the foot plates are too high, this can cause increased pressure in the bottom, causing discomfort and pressure risk. Any single or combination of these pointers may indicate your child has grown, and a refer to your wheelchair service for reassessment is required. We hope you have found this video useful. If you or your local therapist have any concerns about your child's wheelchair and accessories, please contact your local wheelchair service.